Howdy folks, and welcome to a very special TFL Talking Cars. And I've got Tommy here, so we rarely get a chance to do this together, and I'm very excited about it, and I'm also excited about what we're featuring.
Yeah, so we're trying something a little new for our podcast listeners. We are outside of the studio today taking a look at the new Toyota Prius. And Nathan and I in this podcast are going to have a discussion. Is a Toyota Prius cool? So I did this video with Sophian over at Redline Reviews. He gave his opinion. And today we're talking to Nathan to find out, now that the Toyota has been completely redesigned, have they made the Prius cool?
And before we go into that, I know a lot of you guys are thinking, and for those of you who are listening, we're actually outdoors. And this is kind of rare, but this is something we're starting to do a little bit more because some of you have said, yeah, I really like this format. And if this is something you want to continue to see, please let us know in the comments below. Now, what are we standing next to, Tommy?
Yeah, 2023 Prius. So the Prius, of course, is a vehicle synonymous with fuel efficiency and cost efficiency, but not really designed. But Toyota has gone ahead and really tried to redesign this car to not only make it efficient, but now make it look good. So it's longer, lower, wider, and way more aggressive.
It is. It's actually 2 inches lower, from the roof line than the previous Prius. And I got to tell you, I've never been a huge Prius fan in the past because to me it was like rolling birth control. They just really weren't. No, I mean honestly, they weren't really something that was passionate. It wasn't something that I was like, oh yeah, look at that Prius go. But that changed the day I saw this, which I thought was a concept car. The first time it was, I think, a white one that I saw in some picture of, and I thought, no, they're not going to build that. That's not going to be a Prius. And they did, and at least visually, absolutely stunning. I was not expecting this.
Well, the story behind this car is pretty interesting. So I was actually at the launch of this, and then also the Prius Prime, which is a plug-in hybrid version. And essentially, they were going to do another Prius, just a normal, small, efficient, spacey, roomy car.
Right.
And the chief designer and the chief engineer went to Akio Toyoda and said to him, we want to try to make the Prius cool. And he said, I don't think it's possible. But they actually went and did something very unusual in the Japanese culture, and they pushed themselves to actually go against the norm to build a Prius that was not as people thought a Prius should be. And they really pushed the boundaries. They actually pushed what Akio Toyoda said was possible, and they came up with this design. He took a look at it and said, all right, let's give it a try. And Akio Toyoda's big thing was, we need to build interesting cars. And this is one of those examples.
Everything comes with a cost, right? So if you are going to build something this cool, you're going to lose a couple things. And I can show you right off the bat one of the things you're going to lose if you want to come on over here and have a look-see. And that is right here. As absolutely elegant and beautiful as it is from the side, you may have noticed it's a very low car. There are sports cars that are taller than this.
Well, it's funny you say that, because if I remember correctly, the windshield slope on this car is as raked as the Lexus LFA. Remember the LFA?
Oh, I do. The V10? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So if you think about that, it's a really big windshield as well. And you actually open the door on this thing, and I'm not going to get in it right now, but I will a little bit later. You have to drop down to the ground in order to get into this because it's like a sports car.
Yeah.
But the reality is it's not a sports car. And I know that a lot of you guys out there, in fact, a lot of periodicals, our competitors, they've all agreed on the same thing. They absolutely knocked it out of the park by designing this thing and making it look the way that it did. But I think what a lot of people are forgetting is the context of what did you lose by building this?
Yeah, and you certainly lose headroom, and especially rear seat headroom. But what you do gain is the design. So Alex, come around to the front here and we'll talk about what makes this thing unusual. So in the front, it's much more angular. So the old one had kind of this weird mustache grille that extended over the length of the car. The new one has these streaks now on the lower and the upper portion that give it a very aggressive look, very pointy, and once again, much more angular. And then the headlights do kind of this clamp design where they've got these DRLs, which make this C, and then you've got the actual main beams down here.
Look at this little, it's almost like a wing the way it comes over the top of the headlights. This design element just going across here is what wakes up the whole front end. And if you are a huge Toyota fan with their styling, if you look at the 86 or the Supra, you might recognize a little bit of this design element as it is somewhat similar. but I think they actually did a better job in the Prius than they did in those other two cars.
One thing I hate,
Ah, show me.
this. So there's this molded block.
Oh, I know, the license plate block.
Yeah, this is actually molded into the front plastic bumper. It's not removable. And, you know, if you had a plate here, obviously it makes sense. You need to have the place to put the plate. But if you, for example, are running Texas plates like this car and you don't need the front plate, you end up with this big chunky Lego on the front of the car.
Oh, that's where you put the winch.
The winch.
Yeah, you cut that out. You put the winch right there, yo. Yeah, that doesn't make... I get it. I know why they did it, because it's cost savings.
Yeah.
And they probably didn't have to put a special bracket in here or something like that. This is all one piece. But yeah, I agree with Tommy. If you don't need a front plate, this kind of sucks. You want to bet that there's going to be some people that'll have a delete for this?
There might be.
I bet you in the future, because there's going to be guys who are going to customize this. This upcoming SEMA, I'll bet money that we're going to see a variety of different ones slammed.
You think we're going to see a slammed Prius?
Yes.
Like a wide-body
Yes.
Prius?
Yes, I
Really?
totally do. And look at this. This is my favorite design element of the car is just the Coke bottle shape. If you shoot it from the headlight up there where Tommy is right now, you should be able to see the way it contours. Look at this bulge. I didn't sound right, but you know what I mean. The way it comes out like this, there's actually something here that's protruding, and then it goes in down here at the door. It's gorgeous.
It is. It's a lot of design. And then
Wow.
talking about the wheels too, right? Big wheel on this Prius. We're looking at a 19-inch wheel. But what's interesting is this is where kind of the design and the functionality clashes a little bit, because 19-inch wheel, but they still need to keep it efficient. So you got this really narrow, like 195 profile tire.
Yeah.
So you got kind of an interesting confluence there of the design. And then two-tone, lots of two-tone. So we see the black on the silver, the shiny black, the black mirrors. You got black window trim. So in the past, this would have been like a Nightshade edition. Now it's just kind of a normal Prius.
Yeah, although this is the top of the line in its class right now, and this is also the most expensive before you get to like the Prius Prime. Now bear in mind, this does not have the extra motor. There is a way you can get this with all-wheel drive.
Yeah, what do you think about that? So the
Love
old
it.
one you could too, but it had, I kid you not, a 7-horsepower rear motor.
The only purpose, and I talked to Toyota designers back when I drove that thing, because when they said that, I kept saying, do you mean 70? Do you mean 17 at least? Nope, 7. The reality is, all they needed that power for is to get you out of a sticky situation. And you really don't need a lot of horsepower in a light car to turn those wheels. Just a little bit of turning can get you out of a sticky situation. However, it doesn't really enhance your driving performance in any real way. However, they've made a big change with the new electric motor that's powering the rear wheels if you get the all-wheel drive version.
Yeah, 40 horsepower.
That's
40!
considerably more. And that vehicle by comparison is, this one is a performance bargain and performance maven if you consider what it is compared to the previous Prius. I'm gonna get my tongue tied on that. And the reason is under the hood. This is a lot more powerful.
Yeah, you want to pop the hood there? I'll
Yeah.
open it up. So, like that new ding, by the way?
No.
No, you don't like the new ding.
No, I don't like things yelling at me when I'm gonna open a door. Just let me open the door, you know?
All right, so the old Prius had a 1.8 liter 4-cylinder. The new Prius has jumped up to a 2-liter 4-cylinder, so 200 cc's more. It's gone from, 120 horsepower to 194. So it's actually up 71 horsepower in the front wheel drive.
Now that is combined, right?
Yeah, 71.
So Toyota has mastered over the years hybrids. Hybrid technology really is part of Toyota's thing. And by taking a vehicle and making it even more powerful, yet keeping it efficient, this vehicle gets across the board 52 mpg.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty good for something that puts up, well, close to 200 horsepower. That's not too bad.
Look at these big old dogs coming into the video. Holy
yeah.
cow. Yeah, I mean 52 mpg. So you got more power than the old one, more efficiency than the old one. And I want to look at this too, Alex. Come check this out. This is pretty interesting. So when you think of oils like 10W20, 10W30, 5W20, 0W16. So a lot of the new manufacturers now are using super low viscosity oils to improve efficiency.
That's right. And this is an engine that runs kind of like a generator. It's not really built for super high RPM. One of the points of it is so it can actually go through an efficient cycle at low RPM That way you're not burning a lot of dinosaurs, and at the same time, you're also using an electric motor to supplement that power.
Now the question, Nathan, is if you want a car um, like a typical Prius buyer would probably buy a car, you just care about efficiency, maybe you want a little bit of room. You know, it used to be that when the Prius was around, if you wanted a hybrid, you had to get a Prius. But now you can get a Corolla and a Corolla Cross and a RAV4 and a Camry hybrid and all these other hybrids in the Toyota lineup.
Yes, as a matter of fact, other than sports cars and other than the 4Runner, everything else that Toyota builds has a hybrid variant or comes standard with a hybrid
Even their
powertrain.
minivan has a hybrid.
Yeah, and you can get that minivan as a hybrid standard, and then you can throw all-wheel drive into the mix if you want to upgrade.
So that's one of the things I think that is a little bit of a challenge for Toyota is in some ways they're competing against themselves now because the Corolla hybrid, very efficient, now super cheap, now also available in all-wheel drive. You know, it's still a car just like the Prius. So what do you think? What do you get?
Well, the Corolla has a little bit more of an it's an easier, simpler car, and it's not as efficient as this. And so if you're going to get a car that's, cheap and yet very efficient, and then you can fit in at least with the front seats without having to fall to the ground, that might be the way to go. But if you want to get maximum efficiency, remember that the drag coefficient on this is one of the lowest out there, period.
Yeah.
And that's why you have this amazing, huge windshield leading to this. This is just amazing. And I keep using that word, I really shouldn't, because this is something that I would see, seriously, like on a Lamborghini or something like that, the way this is designed. It is such a sharp angle. It's remarkable.
What do you think of the butt? So check out the rear.
Yeah, come on,
Alex. So you got that thing now that every company has to do where you got the LED light bar thing that goes across the whole rear.
Yep.
And then you also have these little spoilers here. You got this little kind of tear duct that appears down. Prius spelled out like it's a Range Rover on the back. And then we've got new badging. So HEV is a hybrid electric vehicle. If you got the Prime, it would say PHEV, plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. And then they have this new Spacey Moon badge.
No idea what that means.
That's their new Beyond Zero badge. That's their new electrified badge. I don't know if people are going to understand that, the HEV.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to look at that and just think, no idea, and then keep on going. Because for the most part, I don't see too many auto enthusiasts normally going towards a Prius and just like, oh yeah, I lust after that. So, but with this one, that may change a few things, and I'm very curious to see that. Once again, I've already named one of its issues, and the fact it's so low, and really you have to fall into the car. But another issue actually is right back here, and that has to do with cargo space. You actually lose a little bit.
Yeah, we'll pop it open. What do you think of the LTD badging?
Well, I think Ford would be thrilled.
LTD, that's a limited trim. You get the badging on the back.
All right, let's pop this pupper. I think I got it.
Yeah, electric lift gate. That's pretty cool. So capacity has gone down. So the old one was sitting at about 27 cubic feet. The new one's sitting at about 24. And then, you do get the power lift gate. You do get this little parcel shelf.
Yeah, I wouldn't put anything on top of it, honestly. This is really just a lightweight thing to hide and obscure your items in there.
And look at this. I think it
folds.
Shoo, look at that.
Yeah, and you could probably stuff that in here, actually, I bet.
Yeah. Oh, look at the foam.
Yeah, so check this out. This isn't, I know it looks just like foam from a cooler. Actually, if I put my nail into it, it doesn't stay. So it's a little bit higher end foam, I guess. Squishy, and it doesn't completely deform. And I was guessing that you can throw a bunch of bottles of drink back here with ice, but that's probably not what this is for. It's just regular storage.
Or kombucha, as you said, for a Prius driver.
Yeah, seriously. Sorry, Prius drivers. I'm totally going to be making fun of you during this podcast. But there is some storage over here and there. And then this little thing here is, I think, a battery. Yeah, this is, I think, perhaps where the 12 volt battery goes.
And check this out. Seats fold. Do they fold flat?
Yeah, and then that thing, I think, comes over here. This extends.
You got this little fabric thing which is supposed to cover up. It just covers the back of the seat. Yeah.
Okay, I thought it came over to this, but whatever. It's still big enough for a bike. Probably have to take the front tire off though.
I think you're probably right. Yeah, for sure. But let me show you one of the big downfalls of this new 2-inch low roofline. Alex, go over to the driver's side, and then let me. We got a couple different heights here, but Nathan and I are both 6 feet tall. And if you want to come back here, this is where things get.
So I drove the car.
Pretty poor. The headroom. You want to take a look at the headroom there, Alex? So
Yeah.
I am fully squished now.
But your leg room isn't as bad as I thought it would be.
No, leg room is pretty good.
I mean, your feet your feet fill the underseat, but they still can go in there.
Yeah, and then no pocket on the driver's side, pocket on the passenger side. And then this roofline kind of impedes visibility out the back.
Right.
So that's the big drawback. In the old one, you had like a kind of a bubble shape. The new one, you got the sloped rear roofline. So if you're taller, and the other thing too, and I don't think Toyota's gonna like me talking about this, but I think it's a valid thing to talk about, is this car is used a lot in a lot of different cities around the world for rideshare.
Yes.
This is a bad rideshare backseat.
You know what else the Toyota did with a similar model? Their Crown, which I know you had some exposure to. That's a big car, right?
Big car.
But because they have a roofline that's similar to this, the way it's shaped, you don't have that backseat space. The roofline's dreadful in the back.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, it's form and function, and they're sort of tossing that up to make it a little bit better looking, perhaps, but then they're losing some functionality, which can be an issue. Personally speaking, I don't mind this too much because most people who are really hip to riding in Prius, they're doing yoga, hot yoga, or
Goat yoga?
Goat yoga, and they're able to fold themselves into pretzels. And so they're totally fine with putting their elbows and their knees and their ears all together in a line.
So this car has the dual sunroofs. You got the glass roof with the two sunroofs.
Yeah, this is not standard though.
No, it is not. No, and I asked the engineer, I said, if you don't get the sunroofs, do you get more rear seat room? And he said, not really. So the headroom doesn't change whether or not you get the metal roof or the glass roof.
Gotcha.
But what do you think? Want to hop on the inside?
Yeah, let's have a look-see.
Alex, hop in the back seat there, maybe in the middle, and we'll show off some of the
If you guys think
features.
we're punishing Alex, you're wrong. She's 5'2".
She signed up for this, I think, I hope. So,
Yeah, see, I mean, I really do have to kind of like bend a bit to get in. But the seats are relatively comfortable. They're small, though. For my big fat back, my shoulders are definitely dripping over the sides.
yeah.
So it is definitely a tight fit. Let's fire this up.
Yeah, let's get some AC going
Oh,
here.
by the way, I wanted to thank our Patreons who have been so awesome about supporting us. And there was a question, not from Patreon, but just a regular email. It was actually to you, Tommy.
Yeah?
This guy was asking me, and he also wanted me to talk to you about buying used classic simple cars.
Uh-huh.
And if now's the time for it. And then he added on top of that, should I get something that has already been painted or paint it myself? And I thought that in the future, there's going to be a video that you're going to be talking about painting cars.
Yeah.
That you guys need to stay tuned for. And Tommy will definitely have an opinion about that.
Did you hear about my debacle? I don't know if you heard
Yes, I
about.
did.
Oh my
That's
god!
why I was mentioning it.
So I've got this Volkswagen Beetle, 71, that needs some paint work. And basically, what happened is the previous owner painted it in the 80s. You want to clip that mic in the seatbelt? So
Yes,
it doesn't rub
absolutely.
there?
Yeah.
Painted in the 80s, and the paint shop didn't seal the surface properly, and now the paint is flaking off. And what that means is that they basically have to grind down all the paint and start from scratch. So I went to an affordable shop and asked how much would it be. $15,000.
$15,000.
Yes.
And essentially what the guy is doing is he's going to punish Tommy for taking away time that he could be working on other cars. That's essentially how I'm getting this.
Well, and I asked him, I said, that seems crazy, but he explained the whole process and how basically because you can't simply sand down the paint and use that as a base, you got to go to bare metal. Every painted bit has to go back to bare. You can media blast it. He said he wouldn't because it's like unraveling an onion. I'm sure the car's got some Bondo on it. But he said even if they sand it down, scrape it down, 15 grand. Really nice guy. He explained it to me. He said even a cheap Mako job in that car would probably be close to 8 grand. And then he said, he called me back yesterday. He said, I really want to help you. I really want this car to be looking good. He said, I could do it for 12 if you want to take all the chrome and stuff off. But the car is worth maybe 14. It's not, I can't put 12 grand into it. Look at that, Nathan.
Yes, that's really cool. The new camera setup is really, really nice. By the way, Tommy, I will do it for $3,000 with some rattle cans. Don't worry about it. And I'll get Alex and Case to help me out. We'll get some brewskis and make it happen.
So we're looking at this animation right now, if you're listening, where it's doing a full 360-degree pan of the car using the cameras. I wonder, Nathan, have you ever used this functionality?
No, never. And in fact, I tried using it before on the Land Rover when I was off road lightly, and I thought, hey, it didn't do anything. It was actually making things worse because it's not. what you're seeing on this graphic isn't necessarily exactly what you're seeing on the outside of the vehicle.
It's a little distorted,
exactly, and so it makes it. You have to really question what you're looking at. But it still has. Let me see. Is this the one where you can? Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Okay. So you can
kind of pause it and play it.
Yeah, but it's. I don't know. Maybe if you want to make sure you're not running over some small dog or something like that, this would be good. But otherwise, I don't really see the purpose of this.
So, what do you think of the overall interior look on this car?
It's a mix of very simple and a couple really logical things. First of all, I love this screen up in front of me.
Yeah, you know why you love it? My dad talked to Toyota as to why they do that. It's for older folks.
Well, older folks like your dad are osteo, so they're looking through the bottom of the steering wheel.
Apparently, they put it up higher so you don't look through the steering wheel so that older, shorter folks can see it better.
Well,
look at that.
If you drop the steering wheel, you really can see it, even if you're tiny. But in my case, I usually drive with the steering wheel kind of in a middle point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see everything I need to see right in front of me. It doesn't obscure what I'm looking at with the windshield. It's actually a very nice, logical setup, decent colors, and you don't need a heads-up display when you have this.
So we're talking about this screen that you look over the steering wheel to see, kind of like the Enterprise.
I would say it's about an 8-inch screen, maybe.
This is the first Prius, I think, Nathan, because every other Prius, remember, they had that weird pod thing in the middle.
Hated it.
Yeah.
Now this is 12.3?
12.3.
Yeah, and this is Toyota's new thing. They're now doing really big screens. Whether or not there's a whole subscription thing coming later on, I don't know. But I do know this. Volume control button, thank you. But there is no tuner knob here, which is kind of a bummer, but whatever. I do love these. I like having buttons, hard buttons and toggles. And Tommy, don't tell me you love them because you don't. I saw your little Tesla video where you're sitting there going, Tesla's converted you into loving screen buttons. Phooey, this is better. This is better. Look, I can actually feel that. Yeah.
Yeah, it is nice. I'll give you that. It is nice. It's a little...
Yeah, it is. Well, a lot of the components in here are kind of like hard plastics and whatnot.
Yeah.
And that's an issue. I don't really like this. It's kind of like a fake carbon fiber. I would just rather it just be a color.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe
kind of weird.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe a piece of metal or a fake metal. That'd be kind of nice.
So the old Prius had the vertical screen.
Yeah,
the new one's horizontal.
Much better.
You like this more?
Yeah. The setup, the ergonomics of this vehicle are better. The screen is way better in its placement and its design. I like all the hard buttons here. Almost everything is a hard button. And then over here on my left, there's also additional buttons, including a heated steering wheel. And I think that is for a heated windshield.
Yes, the windshield wipers, I think, are heated.
Okay, that makes sense. Which is great, especially if you get the all-wheel drive version of this, then it actually becomes a decent Colorado car.
Wireless, yeah, you also get half an inch more ground clearance than the old one. Wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. The new screen now has these profiles, so you can like dial in your settings. Not a big fan of the profiles, huh,
No,
Nathan?
I'm really not. I think it's just an unnecessary, complex thing. But all the buttons for the seat movement are hard buttons. The seats themselves, honestly, I'm pretty sure this is the fake leather, and it doesn't feel great. It's okay.
Yeah. Not super fan.
Yeah, I'm not a super fan. Let's talk about some of the other things. You want to take it for a quick ride while we're talking about what's on the page there?
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Let's let Alex get buckled in here. I can see the camera, Alex.
While you're doing that, I wanted to show the gear lever.
Yeah.
Because this is actually a little bit different than the old one, but essentially it's the same idea. In terms of getting into gear, you have to move it over, drive, or reverse. Here's park. What is B for?
B is a regenerative mode, so it's going to be more of like a one-footed mode.
But it's not completely one-footed, is it?
No, not completely. And then you have also drive modes on this thing. So look, so you've got custom, sport, normal, and eco, depending on how you want to drive your car. You also have an EV mode, which will let you go slow speeds and electricity only.
Right.
Although the car will do that automatically, so there's really no reason for that.
There's no reason to have that. Maybe you want to go through a retirement home area and you don't want to have the engine, which is so loud, of course.
Wireless charger, sideways. You like the sideways?
No.
You don't like the sideways?
No, I'd rather. Well, here, may I?
Yeah, let's see if your phone fits. Nathan's got the chunkiest phone in the world.
Well, it's because this can be used as a weapon. I have it. This is a military-grade aluminum on here.
Oh, it fits.
Yeah, but it's not. Why it's not going?
Well, you just said it's military-grade aluminum.
Yeah, exactly. But it will work in certain things. I'd rather it be here, frankly, where I could just throw it there.
Well, no, this is the secret cubby.
Oh, yeah. We should talk about that.
So push this up, and then if you look down in there, it says hashtag Let me zoom in here because this
Okay.
is notable. It says #hidden compartment. There's actually those little Easter eggs all throughout the car. There's like a couple on the windshield,
On the outside too.
on the outside.
Doors and stuff.
Yeah. Do you like the Easter eggs? They're going all Jeepy on us here.
Yeah, it's kind of fun for some people. I don't mind that. I like the fact that people try to put a little bit of imagination into a vehicle. I can appreciate that, and if I were a designer, I would love to, especially if I was had to design something that was considered, I don't know, stodgy, old manish or whatever. I'd love to play with it a little.
All right. So I got the window sticker, Nathan. So as standard, $34,465,
Which is a decent price.
limited spec. That's right. This one has a digital rearview mirror for $200. The limited premium package for $1,000.
There we go.
You like that?
Yeah, I do actually. You know what's great about that? Alex, her head would normally be right in the middle of this, and now that I have the digital on, it's not.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Heated
Yeah.
rear seats, $350. Heated rear seats in a Prius.
That's not bad.
That's pretty bougie. Carpeted floor mats, $300.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I know.
300 for, come on.
What do you get if you don't get the carpeted floor mats? Is it just hemp?
Yeah, that
Just
is
throw
It is a Prius.
Some vegetation on the floor?
Yeah, they sprinkle sawdust.
So total price, $37,494. But I think you can get this car realistically for like low 30s, depending on the trim.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so some other things that you get in the limited, ventilated front seats.
Yes.
I think you get the heated steering wheel in this car.
Yes, you do. This one has it.
19-inch wheels, bi-LED headlights, 7-inch multi-screen there. 6 USB-C ports.
Yeah, are there any regular USB ports?
You're all USB-Cs now.
Ah! You know how many cords I have that are just, I'm sure you know.
Nathan, you're going to have to make the switch.
But every time I make a switch, something happens. I mean, people are going to look at this and scream, where's the CD player?
You know that Lexus GX we just had at the office?
Has a DVD, or no, it has a CD player in it.
That's got to be
It's
one of the last.
It is. I looked everywhere. I could not figure out any other car, other than perhaps some cars that are just still in production that shouldn't be. I don't know. Infiniti might have something that has a.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So the last car ever to have a cassette player
It was a Lexus.
was a Lexus.
Yep.
And I think the last car to have a CD player is also going to be a Lexus.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Given the demographic, that makes total sense. Although a lot of Lexus owners love driving these cars. And here's one of my questions. Remember when Lexus was building essentially trying to build interesting cars based on the Prius platform and other platforms? Remember when they had that CT200?
I do. That was a cool car.
I liked that car. It just didn't have the power it needed, but it had everything else, I thought, to make it into a really cool entry-level Lexus. It was a hot hatch.
Do you remember when Lexus had, this is a really obscure car, the HF?
Yes.
This little sedan that kind of looked like a Prius that was only hybrid. That thing was a monumental flop.
It was terribly ugly.
It was terribly ugly.
It was sort of the Lexus version of an Echo.
Okay, sure. We'll go with it. I like that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
By the way, so driving impressions, I drove this car here, and it's the first time I've touched this car.
Yeah, what are your first impressions?
First impressions of this car, it doesn't drive as quietly or as softly as the previous Prius. However, what they did was they beefed up the suspension and they beefed up the engine. So here I go. Oh my goodness, the wheel actually lost a little traction for a brief second there.
Wow.
So it moves. It's not a rocket, not at all. In fact, you up at high elevation, it probably makes it struggle even more. But it's firm, and as far as I can tell, the acceleration in here is comparable to any car out there with a standard 4-cylinder engine, but it doesn't feel like it has some, like a wheezy CVT slowing it down or anything like that.
Right.
This vehicle, I'm going to go around this corner, so hold on, Alex. I'm going to go a little bit quick, just a little. Yeah, that's nice. It doesn't do the crazy lean like it did before, but it still does do some leaning. So it's not a sports car, but it handles better. And that, to me, it looks better, handles better, it's got more power, and it's more efficient. Yeah.
Realistically, 0 to 60 is like mid 7-second range at sea level.
That's not bad.
Well, the old one was like 10.
You could set large clocks to that. But, and this is an important caveat here, there is a more powerful version, which is coming out, and I believe you got a chance to see it at least.
Yeah, I drove it. It's the Prius Prime.
Ah.
So that's the plug-in hybrid. It goes about 40 miles on a single charge.
Mm-hmm.
It's got 220 horsepower, under 7 seconds 0 to 60. Now, that one's going to be more expensive, front wheel drive only. You can get it with like a solar powered roof, which will give you a couple miles of range on a nice sunny day. But I think for most folks, the standard Prius probably makes a little bit more sense.
And this kind of goes to something that I wanted to discuss with you. I've had a conversation or seven with your dad about this, but I think that you'll probably have a slightly different perspective on it. Now, Toyota has been very resistant to going over to full electric. Part of that has to do with Toyota and his personal perspective that hybrid is the way to go.
Right.
Now, forget the whole political ramifications of going all electric, not going electric, and where that sits on what other side. Just in terms of logic, building a car like this and cars like this, do you think Toyota's going the right route by being resistant to electrification and sticking with stuff like this?
Well, because I love electric, I mean, I think the answer is no, but then I have to take into the perspective a lot of people that live in apartment buildings that don't have access to nightly charging.
Yes.
And I think for those folks, this makes a lot of sense. And I almost feel that the non-plug-in hybrid Prius makes more sense than the full plug-in hybrid Prius. 52 mpg, right?
I mean, that's really good.
It's really impressive. And now in this new model, you get a fun-to-drive factor. You get a more premium experience than the old one.
It's not embarrassing to own. I mean, you could park this in front of a hotel or in front of someone's house, and it's like, oh, whose Prius is that? That's a really cool looking car.
Yeah.
In fact, I bet you a lot of people for the next couple of years are going to look at this and say, yeah, I don't know what that is, but it's cool. You know what I mean?
I
Until
agree.
they figure out that it is actually a Prius. And the stigma still won't completely go away because I'll still make fun of them. But at the same time, I will acknowledge, hey, you got really good taste in cars. Because so far, this thing's really impressed me.
So I want to answer some questions from the last TFL Talk podcast that you did with my dad.
Yes.
James Clark says, I normally get a new car every 3 years, but between pricing of new trucks and how bad the rates are now, I've decided to hold on to my current truck. It's not a question, it's more of a statement.
Okay.
But it makes sense.
Yeah, right now, I mean, things have improved. The supply chain is beginning to finally open up. Cars are finally starting to go onto lots, so we're starting to see more of those. It's improving, but at the same time, pricing hasn't really kept pace, right? So a lot of people are still paying premiums, which I think is completely unjust. And other people have to have long wait periods. There's guys who are ordering Broncos and Mustangs that have to wait like a year.
Right.
It's not good. So if you're holding onto your car and waiting, it's probably a good idea. I made the mistake of not waiting and getting impatient when I bought my Hyundai, and I had to wait 5 months to get it.
Wow.
And that was for a vehicle that's nowhere near as popular as its competition, the Maverick.
So speaking of your Hyundai, we got a Patreon comment. Big thank you to all of you who follow us on Patreon.
Thanks, guys.
You make the comment, you make the podcast possible. Patreon.com/TFLcar. Now, the question was regarding your Santa Cruz.
Okay.
Do you wish you had gotten a Maverick?
There are times that I wish I do. The only Maverick I was seriously interested in was actually the hybrid, not the all-wheel drive one, because the all-wheel drive one to me was on par with the turbocharged version of the Santa Cruz, and I wasn't really interested in either of those. But the hybrid gets really good mileage, and it's a decent car, and it works like a truck. However, the reason I didn't do it was because my wife, the first time she jumped in 2 different Mavericks, she didn't like either of them. She didn't find them very comfortable, and she didn't enjoy being behind the wheel. She did like the Santa Cruz. And remember, the Santa Cruz isn't just for me, guys. This is a family car. My daughter drives it. My wife drives it. My son, in about a year and a half, he'll be driving it. So it's a family car. Yes, I really do miss the fact that I could have had a little bit more of a trucky feel. And I love the looks of the Maverick, too. But at the end of the day, I have no major buyer's remorse with my Santa Cruz, with one exception.
Okay, what's the exception?
I had a recall. I have complained about this before.
Yeah.
And they had to replace the wiring harness for the tow package, which I had put in at the factory, right? Well, they didn't have a fix for it. So they basically were like, okay, bring it in and we're going to unplug it and take that portion of the wiring harness out. They haven't had any major incidents, but they told you don't park it in your garage or whatever, because one harness was defective and had a spark. And that could lead to something. So fortunately, nobody got hurt, but at the same time, they didn't have a fix. Yet, I know for a fact there are other companies out there that are like, oh yeah, we'll put a harness in there, no problem. The only reason I'm not doing that is because I don't want to hurt the warranty or have to deal with any of this type of, and guys, by the way, you need to make sure that if you're adding components to your car,
Right.
that you don't void your warranty. So that really irritated me that Hyundai didn't have a quick fix for that, and it could be months before I actually get it. And this weekend is the first time I actually needed to be a tow vehicle, and I can't tow with it.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
Yeah, it really ticks me off.
Do you wish you'd gotten the turbo model?
No, because the turbo has the dual clutch, and I don't want the dual clutch. Actually, the whole reason I didn't buy the turbo, and I could have gotten a good deal on the turbo, was because I specifically didn't want that dual clutch 8-speed transmission.
Yeah.
I wanted the regular automatic, and so far it's been creamy smooth. It has a weird shift between like second and third or third and fourth, where it has a disconnect for a second, but I think that's normal. But otherwise, it's just no problems. Averaging about 25 miles, 26 miles per gallon.
Is it slow?
Yeah. It's not fast.
What does your family call it? The turtle?
They call it the turtle because of the color of it and because of this whole Korean turtle boat thing. It's a long story. I actually have a sticker next to the TFL sticker on it that has a boat that was a Korean turtle boat, which was 16th century, I believe. Anyway, long story there. But so between that and the fact that it's green and yeah, it's not fast. So my wife's like, it's not as fast as my Mini. Yeah, she breaks the speed limit all the time in her Mini. The vortex come off the roof, and she tries to break the sound barrier. But bottom line, no, I don't regret using it, buying it, and I've used it quite a bit as a little pickup, quite a bit. I put thousands of pounds of weight into it so far, and drove it back and forth to Trinidad, Colorado, and it was a great little road trip car too.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, let's hop on out, Nathan, and we will
Yeah.
close up this video here. Still got your mic on you there?
I think the mic just got launched. I'll get it. Thank you.
All right. So, going back to our initial question, has Toyota made the Prius cool?
Can I answer that with something that I'll explain to you guys who are listening?
Sure.
Bam! Home run out of the park. They knocked it out of the park. I did not expect them to build this car. I never expected a Prius to be remotely cool. I think that the designers deserve a raise and some serious sake. And then all of that together, I think that this should be the new design language for all of their Prius and electric vehicles in the future because it looks so bloody good.
It's a good-looking car.
It really is just a fantastic looking car.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they have nailed it in terms of the driving experience,
Yep.
the power, the
Yep.
economy. The technology is much better. The room is worse.
Yes.
If you are, like we said, using it for rideshare, if you've got tall people you have to haul regularly
Or
in the back seat.
osteoporosis.
Yeah, get the Corolla.
Yeah,
But they have options for that now too. Corolla hybrid
Yeah, or you could go up to a Camry hybrid if you want backseat space.
or a RAV4 hybrid, exactly. So there's tons of options out there, but I think that the Prius is cool. I'm a nerd, so I think the Prius has always been cool. But now I think they're going to reach a much broader kind of group of people.
I do too, and I think that if Toyota sticks this route and really does push their vehicles, perhaps certain mandates will be pushed back a little bit, which will make more room for these vehicles, which are just way more logical in my book than an awful lot of other vehicles that you could buy for the same price. And then on top of all that, I guarantee you're going to see some people using these as tuner bases
Yeah,
because of its looks.
that's true.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, if you're wondering, that's
Yeah, what
Tony
is up
Image.
with the shirt?
Yeah, you like that?
What video is that from? It's horrible.
Yeah, you got. That's the point. You guys are gonna have to go on it. It's an Easter egg. You'll have to go online and look it up and try to find where Tommy says, "Oh no!"
Oh no.
while he's driving. It's a little over a year ago, I think, that this video came out. There you go.
I probably have said that in multiple. So, last question for you, Nathan. This car is the last kind of in this class to survive. The Insight's dead.
Yeah.
You know, in the terms of the ultra efficient cars. Do you think this is going to be a really big seller for Toyota?
Yes, I do. I think that not just the looks, but the Prius has always been pretty stable. And as gas prices fluctuate, especially as they move past, in our state, $4 and then in California, $5 and $6, people are going to look at this and go, well, this makes a lot more sense. Because you could put, $30 to $40 worth of gas in this thing, right? And drive it for a month or more. 52 miles per gallon across the board, fantastic.
Yeah, that's true. Well, guys, let us know what you think of this new format. If you like kind of this huge in-depth review where we have a little conversation, we'd love to get your input. We'd love to answer your questions in the next TFL Car Talking Cars podcast, or the TFL Talk podcast, I should say. My dad will be back next week, but if you have any suggestions, be sure to let us know. This has been Tommy.
And Nathan.
Yeah, we'll see you on the next video. Thank you so much for joining us. Follow us on Patreon and alltfl.com if you don't want to miss any of our videos.
Have a great week, guys.